All right, everybody, welcome to the newest format for Aptitude Outdoors videos, one of the 15 million different formats I've been playing with in the last few years. And I'm out here with Seth, Geib. I got it right that time. And we are on the Oak Savannah at Oak Openings, and we're just gonna take you guys on a virtual tour. Seth's gonna be snapping some photos, and we'll kind of throw those up on the screen and maybe explain what's going on there. And I hope you guys enjoy this new format. Seth, you got anything to say to the people of the world?
Looks great out here today. We got lots of nice greens and reds, and yeah, it looks beautiful. So let's get some shots.
Let's get some shots.
Hi guys, my name is Alissa Caple and I'm an outdoor skills interpreter here with Metro Parks Toledo. And today we are at Oak Openings on the sand dunes, which are right next to the red trail. And this is a super cool habitat. All of the habitats here in Oak Openings are really special. They are not very common. There's things that grow here that don't grow very many other places. A third of the plants here are rare or threatened, and it's really special that we have them here. So we want to appreciate them and take care of them. So the sand got here because this used to be a beach. When Lake Erie was a bigger lake than it is now, the shore came right through this area, and the Oak Openings region is that sandy edge that used to be Lake Erie. Lake Erie has gotten a lot smaller since then, obviously, because we are not currently standing in the lake. But the sand is really what makes the habitats unique and gives us a lot of the biodiversity we have here at Oak Openings. Because the places that the sand is deep, the water runs off, and that creates our high, dry habitats. Right next to that, where the sand is shallow, it creates our low, wet habitats because underneath the sand there's clay and it perches the water up close to the surface. So we have wet and dry habitats right next to each other, which really makes Oak Openings super biodiverse. And that just means there's a lot of different kinds of a lot of different living things. And we're really thankful for that because that's what makes a habitat more resilient.
Ah, yes, what we've been searching for.
Some of the rare things that are living here in our Oak Openings Metro Park are prickly pear cactus. And people are surprised to hear that there's cactus living in Ohio, but they like this high, dry habitat that's here on our sand dunes. And prickly pear cactus are a great food source. They make little pears that are prickly, and they're a great food source for our eastern box turtle and as well as a few other mammals and critters that run around here.
While you're at it. It's awesome to come out here and actually see the cactus still in full bloom. Well, not blooming, but
They say they got some flowers on them.
every time I try and come out here and see them, they're like half wilted and dead. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if these would
if those would bloom into flowers or if they're actually just like additional, like, you know, spots. It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to find an expert who can answer that. They have like that has like a flower shape in the inside of it.
Yeah.
But
I believe they do flower from what I remember learning in the past. So, I mean, yeah, they have to flower at some point.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things out of openings. I think the sand dunes and the cactus are pretty awesome because you would not expect that here.
No, not at all.
Northwest Ohio, but hey, let's go find some new stuff to look at.
As Seth and I make our way through the dunes, take a minute to look around and explore the remnants of what used to be the shores of Lake Warren, which at one time extended all the way from the Niagara River in New York to our western neighbors in Fort Wayne, Indiana. With what we know about Lake Warren and Lake Erie's geological past, it appears that these dunes were last active between roughly 15,000 to 8,000 years ago. They are also very accessible to visit today by hopping on the Red Trail at Oak Openings Preserve and taking an approximately 1 mile hike where you can check out an array of drastically different landscapes. And along the way, you'll most likely see some cool wildlife, including some variety of red-headed, downy, red-bellied, and potentially pileated woodpeckers, and a varied assortment of other wildlife. And with that being said, let's go check out another very popular section of the park.
We're in this pretty cool area of oak openings called The Spot, made famous by Instagram. And this is an area which is a bunch of red pines. They're all the same kind of tree, and they were actually planted here a while ago by the park district. And that kind of highlights the difference in perspective. Conservation then and conservation now looks quite a bit different. So they initially planted these trees with the hopes of stabilizing the sandy soil, which we now know isn't necessary, and also for generating revenue for the parks. They were gonna sell them as Christmas trees, and then if they got taller, use them for timber. But as time went on, they really were able to raise money in other ways and didn't need to use these trees for that initial purpose. So they just got really tall, and they have been planted super close together, and they're really not a valuable habitat for our native plants here because the pine needles are acidifying the soil and really not making it valuable for our native plants. One thing that the pine trees do produce to benefit our wildlife is that the squirrels like to eat the pine cones, but there's a million other food sources here and a million oak trees because we're in oak openings, and they really don't need these non-native pines here. But even so, we have left them here because they're a pretty cool spot for recreation, for taking photos, for hammocking, and for just connecting with nature in a bit of a different way. So even though this isn't a native habitat, we have still left it here. We have removed a lot of other pine stands that are doing really poorly. They're planted very close together, so they don't have very much live crown at the top, and if they get sick, they just aren't able to defend themselves. So this area is actually doing pretty well compared to some of our others, but for the reason of them being non-native and for them not being valuable to our wildlife, that's why we have taken them out in other sections to allow for those native plants to come back in and for those ecosystem services that are provided by our native plants.
I didn't bring my macro lens. I wonder what those are. Some cool little fungus.
So in addition to lichen, we have a bunch of different fungus that grow all across our metro parks in every different habitat here, and you probably see them in your yard too. Fungus is really valuable and it helps break down organic material. They're called decomposers, so they are decomposing organic material and letting those nutrients be more available in the soil for all other stuff that's growing there. And there's some fungus that are only underground and they partner with the tree roots and other plant roots and help them uptake more nutrients. So fungus are a really cool friend for a lot of our plants, so they can do extra well. So lichen is a really cool living thing that's in all of our habitats across the metro parks, and it's a partnership between algae and fungus, and they live together. So the algae is doing photosynthesis and providing food for that fungus, and the fungus is providing structure for that algae to live inside of. So it's cool, it's green, and it makes some really pretty colors. I think that's why it's the coolest. But you can find it on the ground, on trees, and all around.
Thanks, Alissa. Now, if you're into photography, the spot is definitely a must-see, especially at either sunrise or sunset, because as you can tell, the light casts drastic shadows all throughout this patch of pines. It's also a great place to hang a hammock and chill for a while to take in the scenery at any time of the year. As Seth and I wrap up taking some photos, let's head back to the trails and check out yet another amazing part of the oak openings, the oak savanna.
So we are in a portion of oak openings that is oak savanna habitat, and this is really what the park is named after. We have these beautiful tall oak trees and then these open spaces in between. A lot of these open areas were kept this way because Native Americans used fire as part of managing their landscape so they could have some more open areas to hunt, and then it would also keep the canopy open for prairie plants like grasses to grow, and then it would be really good grazing for the bison and the other large herbivores as well. So it was really good for the wildlife as well as benefited the Native Americans. So this habitat is really reliant on fire, and it has been since as long as we can remember. So Metro Parks uses fire as a useful tool to put nutrients back in the soil and make them readily available quickly, and then the plants use them up, and then it goes back to being just that plain sand. So we really want a nutrient-less sort of habitat to have that savanna habitat. Because when you think of savanna, you think of sandy, you think of grasses and not very much tree cover. So we're keeping it consistently open by using fire and giving those plants the opportunity to get sunshine. So a lot of small, rare, and awesome plants are living right here on the ground, and you can't really see them this time of year. They're kind of past their prime, but this is another one of our rare and awesome habitats that we're super thankful to have here in Northwest Ohio.
All right, Seth, man, I think we had a pretty successful walk today. We checked out the sand dunes, we checked out the oak savannas, we got to go through a little of this hardwood forest out here.
We did the spot.
Oh, we did the spot. How can I forget the spot? My favorite and least favorite spot of the park, probably. It's a very strange like dichotomy because it's non-native, it's it has nothing to do with this local area. It's literally a tree farm planted here.
Yeah.
But it's also like everyone's most iconic spot in the park. Isn't that hilarious how that works?
It is, but like I think we still saw some cool stuff out there today. Like we saw some like pretty interesting fungus and things like that. Like it's interesting. I think it'll be cool to see how it evolves as they let it go and as they sort of let it, let nature take it back. I think that's something interesting to watch even.
Well, and I agree. I think it's for photographers, I mean, even as much as I am not a huge fan of the spot for ecological reasons and such. It's still, the lighting is so amazing. The ground's wide open. There's hardly any cover. So you're seeing all these cool things like the mushrooms we saw and all this cool stuff. So it does have a value to me of like, it's just a cool place to be in, but ecologically it's not my favorite. But
plus if it just gets people outdoors, like if it causes people that want that shot for their Instagram or whatever to come out, like all the more power to it. If it's encouraging people to enjoy the outdoors, then yeah, I think it's cool.
And that's the whole focus of what I do here at Aptitude Outdoors is get people outside. And it's funny because I come to this place often. It's very close to my home, and the parking lot's right over here. You can hear children playing, and I always come here, and I get a little bit bummed when I get in the parking lot because it's always packed.
Yeah.
And then I'm like at the same time like, but this is what I wanted. So psychotic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's all about, but yes, it is a great place, and you know, I hope to do more of these kind of videos in the future. If you guys would like more of this, let me know below. But I think it's kind of a cool new way to explore the landscapes and the places that I'm always talking about on the podcast and taking pictures of, to give you a more like immersive feel of what I see when I come to these places. So Seth, man, thanks for always sticking up, and I'm sorry for butchering your name every time I talk to you, so appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. It was fun. Good time.